Let's go.
All right, guys. Well, welcome to our Thursday AMA. Today we're doing things a little bit differently. Today's not going to be your the regular style of AMA that you're used to. Today's going to be more or less of me kind of like rambling on about a small topic that I wanted to remind people on, and it's something that we used to talk a lot about when we first launched the project and the community. It was actually really something that the community brought to life as a trademark, like that we kind of like made into one of our like statements or whatever. And it's something that we haven't really talked about recently. And I kind of want to make sure like everybody knows what it really is. And obviously, like nothing that we say in this AMA or whatever you want to call it is going to be financial advice. It's going to be more or less just like an explanation of terms and an explanation of what uh, my perception of success is, right? So I think you guys will learn something from it. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be like, Leo, I already know all this stuff. But for if you know, good. If you don't, then you're in for a treat. So I put together a few bullet points of things that I wanted to talk about, and the question is, what is generational wealth, right? And we used to talk about this all the time. People used to say generational wealth all the time. I have generational wealth. You'll have generational wealth. Whatever, whatever, whatever. But I kind of was thinking about it yesterday about that term, and people were throwing it out there. But I felt like people were throwing it out there, but they don't even really know what it means, right? So I wrote a bunch of things down, and I'll read it. But I think generational wealth is something that we need to kind of recognize as a, a, a goal in everyone's life, right? That's something that should be one of our, as people, as humans, as parents, as whatever, we should have that as a goal, generational wealth. And let me tell you why. I wrote it down. So generational wealth refers to the accumulation of assets and financial resources that are passed down from one generation to the next. It's the idea by building up like financial resources over time. So a person or a family can create a legacy, right? And that legacy can be passed down for generations, generations, generations. So there's like a technical way of going into it, but to put it in terms where like everyone can understand, like it's like a treasure, right? Generational wealth is like a treasure that is passed down from your parents or your grandparents to you. And it's like a pot of gold that you can use to buy things you want or things you need, or just to help you do things that you want to do in the future. For example, like if your parents save up a lot of money and they invest it in things that grow in value over time, like a house or a special kind of money or whatever, stock or crypto or whatever, they can create a treasure for you and your family to use later. Right now, I'm putting it like in past terms when I'm speaking, because that's just how I find it easier to do. But when you grow up, you can use this treasure to buy a house, start a business, go to college, whatever. Right? That's what generational wealth is to, like, if you want to provide to your kids and whatnot. So by saving and investing like wisely, right, you can help create that treasure for your own grandchildren or your own children to use later down the line too. So like I feel like us as humans, we're programmed to like think of a way to make it so that our kids, our offspring. I don't know how many of you guys are parents, or how many of you guys even plan to be parents or whatnot, but I am. I'm a dad, so I always default to thinking of how can I give my kid a better life than what I had, which is something that I think about a lot, more often than a lot. Like before I was successful, I struggled. Like I mean, I was dealing with all kinds of stress. I was dealing with all kinds of problems that normal people deal with. Like, and it's not fun. I'll be the first to tell you, it's not fun. But you have to go through those types of struggles to become the person that you are in the future. And it's important because people who don't go through struggles, they're not shaped to be strong people. And people who do go through troubles are shaped to be much stronger and have a better perspective on life when they, reach the end game level of life, which is like, life. I look at life in like three tiers. You have the early stages where you're a kid, you have the middle stages where you're like a late teen, and then like a young adult where you grind, you get all the knowledge you can. And you have the third tier, or okay, let's say four tiers. So and then you have the third tier is where you execute all of the things that you've learned and all the things that you've been able to absorb into your life, from the previous 2-3 tiers. And you pretty much just deploy everything, you execute it, you create whatever amount of success that you're creating for yourself. And then tier 4 is to pretty much prepare for what comes next. And I mean, no human lives forever. That's a fact. Not even the most successful, not even the richest person in the world takes their money with them to the grave. That's just not how it works. So what do we do with all that money that we're able to make in our lifetimes, right? Obviously, when our time comes to an end, we want to pass it down to our kids. So that's what generational wealth is, in my opinion, and more or less not even an opinion. It's kind of like a fact of what it is. But it's very important. And I think like a lot of people have personal goals. Like I have my own personal goals. You guys have your own personal goals, and everybody wants to achieve something else different or whatever. Maybe you want to be, the number one car salesman if you're a car salesman or whatever. Maybe I want to be the number one developer. Maybe the next guy wants to be the number one race car driver, whatever. But those like personal goals, even though they're great goals and they're stuff that we should definitely 100% aim to achieve, we should also be thinking of the future generations that are going to be reaping those rewards from the successes that we reach as people and as humanity or whatever. Because my parents were immigrants. They moved to America with nothing but the clothes on their back, and they literally had nothing. They had absolutely nothing, and it was like all hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get to what they got to and achieved. And they were able to, take care of me and my siblings. And like, yeah, I mean, it just goes to prove like nothing is impossible. And I've always been like raised to have that mentality, because if my parents were able to come from, thousands and thousands of miles away from a country that really wasn't providing any kind of future for them, and just come here with nothing but the clothes on their back and be able to like, create a household and create a business and have a business and find success, then, that just means that you get what you put in, right? You get out what you put in. You put in the work, you're going to get out the results. Now, investing doesn't really work the same way as hard work does. It has pretty similar roles. It has pretty similar, it has things that you can correlate with one another, right? But the one thing like investing has that's different than hard work does is like hard work is guaranteed, right? If you go and you work hard enough for something, it's guaranteed you're going to get a favorable result out of it, right? Or it's like if like you work at a job and your shift is from 9 to 5, if you go put hard work in through that 9 to 5, you're going to get a paycheck for that. Like that's a guarantee, unless obviously the place you work for is a scummy place and doesn't pay you, but that's very rarely ever the case. With investing, it's a bit different, right? Because people invest money that they want. Obviously, everyone's investment strategy is to put money and they want to see it grow. Nobody wants to see their money lose value. That's a fact. And if you do want to see your money lose value, then something is wrong with you and you should get checked out, because I think everyone wants to see their money grow. That's a fact. I want to see my money grow. You want to see your money grow. Everybody wants to see their money grow. So why is it that investing is the way that generational wealth is mostly made for, the average amount of people who can make generational wealth? Like, obviously not everyone is going to be fortunate enough to be able to be proud to say, hey, I've created generational wealth. My kids are going to be set. Their kids are going to be set. It's a rare occurrence. It's a rare occurrence, but it's not impossible. And I'm saying it's not impossible because I was able to achieve that, and I know other people who were able to achieve that too. Where if I'm smart enough for the rest of my life, like I can make it so that at least my kids will be able to have some money in their accounts and stuff too. But as I was saying, the big key difference in investing is your money works for you and you don't work for your money, in a sense, right? So it's like, how many 9 to 5s can you possibly work? Even though it's a guarantee, you can work, 18 hours a day, but you're just guaranteed that amount of money. let's call it $1,000. Let's say you're working 18 hours a day, you're getting $1,000 a month. Obviously, that's not a lot, but I'm just using it as like hypothetically, right? But the thing with investing is like once you invest that money into something, you don't have to sit there and be like, hey, I got to work on it. I gotta go there and put hours in. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, it's like you do the research, you do your valuation, you do your due diligence, and you make your investment, and you let your money work for you. And that's how you can grow as a person, because once you figure out a way to make money while you sleep, that is how you succeed in life. If you're spending your days working hard, even though hard work is a great thing, I mean, I'm the #1 supporter of hard work, and the society was built off hard work, so you can't downplay it. Hard work is definitely part of the equation, but once you're able to make investments, and it doesn't only have to be in crypto, it doesn't only have to be in stocks, it could be investments in anything. It could be a house, it could be land, it could be a unique car that you think is going to go up in value, whatever the case is. But when you make your money work for you, that's when you're able to eventually be able to accumulate so many assets that you make money when you sleep. You make money while you sleep. And that's everyone's dream. I mean, that's been my dream for a very long time. When I was a kid, like I would dream about that. I would dream about things like that. I would say, hey, I wish like I'm one day at a point where I'm just making money while I sleep, so I could do whatever I want with my life and go to the beach if I want, or go hang out with my friends or whatever. And that's the dream that pushes everyone. That's what motivates everyone to get out of bed every day and kind of like go to work and do their things. Obviously, there's a plethora of other reasons why people are motivated, but that's one of the main reasons. And that is why it's so important to make generational wealth a goal for your life, so that your kids can not have to worry about the struggles that we worried about growing up. Some people are blessed and they find the easy way out. I'm going to say my way out was the easy way out, because at the end of the day, like I made millions of dollars on Shiba and Dogecoin, right? Some people can say that was pure luck, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the point is, I found a way out, and once you did, you find different issues, you find different problems, and there's different things you stress about. So stress never goes away. But I can tell you for a fact, like the stress that I deal with now, even though it might be more responsibility, there's more things that I stress about, but it's not as bad as the stress of like that I used to have and be like, hey, what am I going to do 5 years down the line? Like, I don't want to continue living the way that I was living or whatever. Like, that's a different type of stress. And I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that situation that I was in. And, I know a lot of my friends were in the same situation too. And it's just an annoying stress. But that's what should motivate us to make it so that our kids don't have to worry about those types of issues, and our loved ones don't have to worry about those types of issues in the future. And the steps that we take today and the things that we do today kind of like really form the future of if you're going to be successful or not, right? And every dollar invested is a dollar invested, right? Not a dollar lost. So you always have to look at it like that. And I mean, the way that the markets and the stock market and everything are right now, it's shaky, man. It's really shaky. But right now is the time for people to be making those investment moves, right? Because Warren Buffett says he's the most successful investor in the world. He's like, be hungry when there's blood in the water, and there's blood in the water right now, right? So I'm not saying like right now is the time or tomorrow is the time, but it's like these types of situations are the time. Like when things are shaky, when there's people who are not pulling the trigger or scared to pull the trigger. The people who do pull the trigger and the people who do take those risks are the people who kind of reap the rewards at the end, which is no secret. Like I talk about that all the time. But I mean, there are here are some of the bullet points that I read that I wrote down, right? So it's like, take calculated risks. So those calculated risks are, you're never going to be able to be like, hey, I'm going to invest in this and it's 100% going to work in my favor. There's always a risk that comes with any investment. That's even if you invest in Apple, if you invest in Shibadoge, if you invest in Bitcoin, if you invest in a house, whatever, it does not matter. If you're investing in anything, then there's a calculated risk that needs to be taken with it. But you need to calculate that risk, and you can figure out, like, what your financial gain is going to be, or the potential of what you're going to lose is going to be, right? And you got to kind of like outweigh one or the other and be like, okay, cool, I'm happy with that. I can deal with this. I think this can happen because I've done my due diligence. And yeah, so it's important to carefully consider the potential benefits and the drawbacks too of a risk before taking it. Like, if we're thinking 3-4 years into the future on any decision that we're going to make, right, which is something that we should do, because I am a fan of chess. I do play chess, and I'm fairly good at chess. I learned that at a very young age, right? Chess is a game where you have to make every move with the calculated risk and the potential benefit of each move. Because I'm always thinking, when I'm playing chess, I'm always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. If I move my rook, or if I move my knight, what is my opponent going to do? And I kind of like try to predict what the outcome of my move is going to cause him to make, right? And that way I'm like 1 step ahead of the curve. I'm ahead of whoever I'm playing. But the thing that I'm not thinking when I'm doing that is if he's a good chess player, he's thinking the same exact way. And when 2 good chess players match up, then that's why it's there are grandmasters, and that's why there are pretty crazy chess games out there, which I don't know how many of you guys are into chess or not, but I love it, and I play it almost every single day, and I've played it almost every single day since I was a kid. And it's something that it teaches you a lot about life. Chess and life really correlate very well together. And yeah, so talking about the next point, it says don't be afraid to ask advice too. Like, if you need advice, feel free to talk to the people that have the knowledge for it, right? Don't always try to be like, yo, I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm not going to ask anybody else, and I'm not going to get anyone else's opinion or whatever. Yeah, always own up to your decisions. Always be the sole person that makes a decision. Don't make a decision based off what anybody else says or does, but don't be afraid to talk to other people. Don't be afraid to network, and don't be afraid to get advice. And don't ever be shy. Like, there are times where I want to ask for advice from somebody, but I get embarrassed. I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask, because he might think I don't know anything or whatever. But you don't ask, you don't learn, and that's just a fact. So always feel free to ask people. Try to get as much advice as you can. Try to get as many people's perspectives on things, because all that is a way that you can weaponize that, right? You can actually use like 20, 30 different people's perspectives on something, and kind of be able to figure out, like, hey, this guy has a point, that guy has a point, but if we combine both of these guys' points, then it creates like a giga point or whatever, right? And that's why polls are so necessary for, people are doing polls all the time, and it's all data, man. You got to ask, and you got to talk to as much people as you can to learn as much as you can. It's just a fact. So kind of goes into the next thing, which is education and research, right? Education and research really helps you in the decision making. And obviously, if you're making money moves without education and research, then what you're doing is gambling, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. So it's like, if you think you're some hotshot investor because you opened your app and you just randomly put money into something and it paid off, you're not a hotshot investor. You're lucky. You didn't do any research. You didn't do any education. You just got lucky, right? So you can't always think that way. You always should definitely apply yourself into doing as much DD as you possibly can. And it's important to have a solid financial foundation too. Like, you're supposed to be able to kind of have an emergency fund for things, have a budget for things, so that you can kind of be able to do what you want to do to grow yourself as an individual, and take yourself to the next level financially, without having to stress about hey, I have all my eggs in one basket. And then I'm sure a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about when you're glued to a chart, and on every red candle you have a mini heart attack, and on every like green candle you like you do like a sigh of relief. It's not a good feeling to do that, you know. And the reason why people get like that is because they get over leveraged. Now, I'm not saying like everyone does that or whatnot, but I know that feeling, and that really messes with your head psychologically more than anything else that I've ever encountered in like my investing career. The less I looked at charts and the more I looked at like spreadsheets, and the more that I looked at what a company is doing or what a project is doing, the more I was like laid back and relaxed about the entire situation, because I was like, you know what, the chart, the value will reflect as to what I think the potential of what I'm getting myself into is, right? And that's the, sorry, I got a text message. Let me turn off my notifications so it doesn't make me lose my train of thought. Okay, there we go. See, and I lost my train of thought. But regardless, shoot, what was the last thing that I said?
Spreadsheets rather than
charts. The charts.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So as soon as I stopped looking at the charts and I started like focusing more my attention into what, like, you know, let's put Shibadoge as an example. What Shibadoge is putting out there, and the information that they're putting out there, and the roadmaps that they're putting out there, and the potential future plans that they're putting out there. Once I started focusing more on that and learning more on that, I was like, okay, this can have value, that can have value, whatever can, maybe that might be that value. But then I'm like thinking into the future. I'm not thinking as to what's going to happen on the next 5-minute candle, you know? And that really changes things up, because at the end of the day, yeah, you will always have a favorite investment. There will be your favorite investment. Maybe Shibadoge is your favorite investment. Maybe Bitcoin's your favorite investment. Maybe Ripple is, maybe Tesla is, or whatever. But you shouldn't ever only have one investment, right? Because people say diversity. I don't believe in diversity, and Warren Buffett doesn't believe in diversity either. You know, he always says like the people who diversify don't have as much success as the people who just pick like 2 or 3 things or 1 or 2 things. And I get that, and that's where I kind of like took a lot of inspiration in my investing career is from him, because obviously Warren Buffett is Warren Buffett. He's the most successful investor in the world, right? So it's like, if you're going to try to learn anything from investing, at least try to learn it from the most successful person that you possibly can find. And you know, I really, you know, Max as well. Max is an amazing investor, and Max is the one who actually got me into investing initially, and he learned everything that he learned, but from studying Warren Buffett, and he's the one who even introduced me to like things that Warren Buffett had done, and then like I got all into it and into the entire spiral of information that, you know, is out there in the internet. And you know, I was able to kind of like catch on pretty quick, because I felt like, you know, this is something that I'd be a natural at, and I did not expect to get myself into situations that I did when I first learned. You know, when I was first learning, I made an enormous amount of mistakes. I lost an enormous amount of money, and that was because I was literally doing everything wrong. Like everything that I'm talking about today, right now, I was doing the absolute opposite of it and expecting to see a good result out of it, and I was getting absolutely wrecked in the beginning stages of my investing journey. Like, you know, as soon as I opened up like a stock portfolio or a crypto portfolio or whatever, like I was just like, it was like letting a kid in a candy store. I was having fun. I was putting money in anything and everything that I thought sounded cool. And, you know, I wasn't doing any research, or I wasn't doing enough research, and I was getting wrecked, man. And, you know, once I realized like, yo, I cannot keep doing this the way that I'm doing it, because eventually I'm just going to lose everything. So I took a step back, and I kind of like, I kind of set boundaries, and I set rules for myself to follow, and I made sure that I'm disciplined enough to follow them. Obviously, it's hard because, you know, you do want to, you see something going crazy like on the stock market or on the DEX charts, and you want to hop in, but you got to be able to restrain. You got to be like, hey, you know, what's causing this to happen? And before you're able to recognize what's causing it to happen, and you make that decision to buy, you already made your first mistake. You already made your first mistake because you didn't recognize what's even causing the price to go crazy, and you just FOMO'd in. And FOMO is like the thing that'll destroy you. You get what I'm saying? But that's also a tool that really makes things pop off. So FOMO is I have like a love and hate relationship with FOMO, right? I hate FOMO because it makes people make emotional and rash decisions. But I love FOMO because it actually is like a crazy tool that brings people into you get what I'm saying? Like this whole like crypto thing, like FOMO is like is a thing where it's like when you see people get FOMO, you kind of get like a sense of satisfaction out of it because you're like, well, look, we're doing something crazy. Like people have a fear of missing out, and you get a satisfaction out of it too. But it's a double-edged sword, man. You got to be able to harness that. You got to be able to understand, the benefits of FOMO and the negatives of it. It's mainly negatives. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you ever feel like you're getting FOMO, definitely take a breath and take a step back and try to understand what's causing it. And if there is like a crazy catalyst, then okay, I understand. Then okay, once you're able to recognize it, cool. But just based off of like numbers going up, you make a rash investment to invest like a large amount of money into something without knowing what it is, without knowing why or anything like that. Then yeah, you're probably gonna get wrecked. But or you could not, or you can somehow get lucky and make millions just like I did with Shiba. You get what I'm saying? So it's like it's a double-edged sword, but it's something that you guys need to look out for. It's also important to have a clear understanding of like the goals that you want and how taking that particular risk can help or hinder the progress towards your goals too, right? Like everybody should have a goal. I always tell you guys this: have a goal and put a timeline as to like how long it'll take you to achieve that goal and what steps that you need to take to achieve that goal and whatnot. And then you could kind of create your own roadmap for yourself, for your own journey of what you want to achieve, not what the project wants to achieve, not what like your career wants to achieve, but what you want to achieve and what steps are needed to get there. And the thing is, it's like write that stuff down. Because when you write it down, you write it into existence, and it's something that's real that you could get up every morning and like look at it and read it and be like, all right, cool, this is still what I want to do, and this is I'm still on track to do this. You get what I'm saying? And if you just say it to yourself and don't write it down, it's eventually gonna dwindle down to nothing. You're gonna forget about it. You're gonna think about something else, and your brain is gonna default to that, and you're gonna just like keep changing paths left and right, doing things. So write stuff down. Write down your goals. Write yourself a roadmap. It could be something as simple as I want to make $1 million in the next couple of years, right? 2 years, 3 years, whatever, 1 year. You write it down, and then put a timeline. I'm here right now. It's almost 2023. By 2024, I want to make X amount of money. And then you kind of write different ideas and ways of how you can achieve that goal. And every day work towards that. But you have to write it down. If you don't write it down, I'm telling you, you forget it. Not that only you forget it, but your brain just stops focusing on it. And once you lose sight of your goals, then you're just a loose cannon. Then you just do like, you just do anything and everything that you want all day, which is cool, but it's not going to help you get forward in life. So anybody who's successful always has that thing in common. They all have that same thing in common, and that's that they have a goal and they actually write that goal down. I'm not the only person to say this. Like you guys could go ask any successful businessman, any successful investor, any doctor, whatever, lawyer, and I guarantee you they all have something that they wrote down a while back as a goal, and they work towards it. It works. I guarantee you it works. So that's something to always keep in mind. Write down what you want into existence, because if you don't, it'll never come to existence. If you do, then you have no choice but to make it happen, and it will come into existence. So write things down, ladies and gentlemen. And then obviously, like since we're being frank here, it's like remember that no risk without the potential for loss. Hold on, did I even write this down correctly? Remember that no risk is without the potential for loss, right? Okay, exactly. So, but the potential for gain can be significant if the risk is carefully considered and managed. So what does that even mean? So it's like back to one of my first points is everything comes with a risk, but you always have to outweigh, the risk to reward ratio. you got to be able to understand, like, don't be reckless. It's important to find the balance between caution and ambition, but you can't be afraid to take risks. If you want to achieve greatness in life, whether it's financially or whatever it is, no matter what, like whether even back in the day, let's rewind like back to the barbarian times. These people were fighting in colosseums. They wanted to be the greatest fighter in like Roman history or whatever time that we're talking about. But they had to follow that risk, right? The risk was like, hey, I got to put a sword in my left hand and a shield in my right hand and a metal helmet on. I got to go in there and fight like a barbarian. And that's the risk I'm willing to take to become the number one, fighter in Rome. Now you fast forward to the modern age, the digital age, and people are taking similar types of risks, except they're not putting their life on the line. But what they're doing is they're risking something that they're willing to lose for a potential gain that they're trying to make. And they understand, like, everybody wants to be the best in what they do, and everybody wants to be successful. Nobody wants to. You've never seen a homeless man walking around the streets and being all happy and dandy and skipping like Little Red Robin Hood. Like, that does not happen as often as you think. But like, people who are actually successful, they're able to like reap the rewards of things. They're able to go out there and be like, hey, you know what? I put the hard work in, I put the time in, I put the effort in, and I was able to reach X, Y, and Z. And now I want to enjoy my life. Yeah, we might have like a few years in our life where we struggle, maybe even longer than a few years. But the important thing is to understand, like, that our goal is to make as much progress as we possibly can in our life, whether it's financially or whether it's emotionally or physically or whatever you guys want to achieve. And the second thing is to make sure you always think ahead. Think like life. Think of chess. Think of life like chess. And if you don't know how to play chess, I challenge you to go learn it. And I guarantee you it will change your life for the better. And it's a game that's been played for centuries and centuries. One of the oldest games in history. But it's a very challenging game. It actually is a game that you can't cheat your way out of. And the beautiful thing about chess is anytime you lose, it's not because the person who beat you got lucky. It's because you made a mistake. It's because you messed up somewhere. And what chess will teach you it will teach you accountability, and it'll teach you that if you take your time and you make the right decisions, you will always win. But if you lose, it's not because life's not fair, and it's not because the other person got lucky. It's because somewhere in the game, somewhere in between the game, you messed up and you made a mistake, and there's no excuse. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys today, guys. I pretty much didn't come in today with the whole intention of having an AMA, because we are going to be back on here on Saturday to have like our anniversary party or whatever. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to kind of like remind everybody, right, what our goals are, and not to lose track of reality, and not to lose track of everything that we're destined for. And if you're in here listening, and if you're in here like listening consistently on a constant basis, that means like you're interested in what we have going on here. You're interested in the things that I have to say, or the things that the community has to say, or the things that we're bringing to the table with our projects. And we do appreciate that, man. And I feel like it's a obligation of mine to be able to kind of like be able to share a lot of my experiences and what I feel like is my point of view on what a successful outcome to life is. And I feel like I'm in a position where I feel confident enough to have this type of conversation with people and share my opinions, because I'm young, but I've experienced a lot in my life, highs and lows, and I've came through a lot that a lot of people don't go through in their lives and whatnot, right? Obviously, I'm not going to share my entire life with you guys and stuff, but I feel like I'm in a place right now in my life where it's my obligation to help other people out, whether they need it or they don't. And this is what this conversation, this AMA of me talking for the past hour is to represent. And I think we just had an amazing year together as a community and as a group of people. And I think we're going to be creating a lot of years to come, better years to come. And more people will be in this family. And I think I think we'll have conversations like this at the end of each year and kind of recap and give everybody a reality check as to what we were able to achieve or what we were able to lose in that given year. So it's always positivity, guys. That's the number one thing. Don't ever change path off of positivity. Even if you're having the worst day, even if you're having the worst month or year or whatever, always stay positive because life's too short to be sad and depressed and pissed off all the time, man. Nobody wants to live like that. So, that's all I got for you guys. If anybody wants to say anything, feel free. But I'm really not in the AMA spirit today to answer questions of related to the project. But if anybody wants to share their thoughts and experiences or anything like that, today is the day. Feel free to come up.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah. I want to appreciate you for speaking in the manner you spoke tonight. I am personally touched. This is more like a homily. It's more than a homily. It's you spoke from your life, and I'm personally touched. You've had your ups and downs, and I see hope. You spoke about your parents being immigrants, and you are where you are today. I really hope that this life experience you have shared with us will go a long way to cement this truth in our hearts. Because sometimes when we talk from the books we read, it looks like we're just merely communicating knowledge. But when you share from your life experience, I have been in this industry, I've gotten my fingers burned, but I've learned a lot from what you spoke tonight. And I'm so grateful. I want to appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. Really means a lot. And I agree with you. I feel like when things come from a more personal place, it is accepted much better than if I were to share knowledge that I read from a book. Personal experiences, you cannot compare them to things that you read in books. Even though we try to gain as much knowledge as we can from reading and intaking all of this knowledge and information that's out there on the internet, nothing is more real than a personal experience. And at the end of the day, I just need you guys to understand too, like, I'm a prime example of somebody who had a pretty tough life and was able to change it around. And I'm a prime example of nothing is impossible. Anyone can make it. If I can make it, you can make it. And I'm not just saying that to sound like an asshole or anything. It's definitely how I feel.
Yeah, and that is what really touches me, because I am from Africa. We have a lot of challenges, we have a lot of problems all around. But I'm inspired. Leo, you have inspired me tonight. I want to tell you, you have inspired me. I think this is one of the best I have had, I've received in this part of the year, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I'm glad you were able to take some positivity out of this. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I wish you and your family a happy new year.
Thank you, sir.
Hey Leo, this is Fahad.
Hey, Fahad.
Thanks for really the extremely eye-opener thoughts you shared with us. I can strongly relate to the point where you advise us to write goals or or things we want to achieve down. It worked a lot with me, even in cryptocurrencies. For example, the first day or the first month I joined Shibadoge, I told myself I need this number of NFTs or this amount of the token. And I do forget all the time. I lose focus. I get busy with other stuff and I just sleep or just overlook the target I wanted myself, an achievable target. Then I started to write my spreadsheet, not forecasting prices, actually looking for reasonable price range of price and the amount I want to accumulate. And every other day, I just look at my small note or table or spreadsheet, and I compare the level or the amount I collected versus the comfortable goal I set for myself. And it keeps
Right.
challenging me to add more and to achieve that. So it worked a lot with me.
Yeah, man. It's all about writing things into existence, man. And I didn't learn about that until I actually started doing it and realized how big of a deal it is to actually do that. I even went out and I think I told you guys this, but I ordered myself a thing. It's called Your Life in Weeks. If you Google it, you'll find it. It's like a big poster that you put on a picture frame or whatever, and you hang it on your wall. And every week, at the end of the week, you check off a box, and like the human lifespan in weeks is like written down on it, and it really shows you how little time we have on this planet, right? So it's like it really puts you into a state of mind where you're like, I got to get as much positivity done and as much um, things done efficiently in an efficient manner of time, because I don't have much time. And every week I go at the end of the week and I check one of these boxes off, and it seems like I still have a lot of time, but every week that box is getting checked off. And it's important, it's very important for us to kind of like find the reality of where we are and be able to shape the future of where we're headed. And the only way as individuals that we're going to be able to do that is to take accountability and to put things into our own hands and never rely on other people for handouts or personal success. Because at the end of the day, you get what you manifest and you get what you write into existence. And if you don't ever write it down, and if you don't ever think about it, and if you don't manifest it, then it's not going to happen to you. The universe works in very weird ways, and I feel like the universe gives you what you want, and if you don't want it, it won't give it to you. So you gotta make your voice heard. You have to let the universe know what you want and what you want to achieve, and you got to take the steps necessary to do it, and it will reward you and it will give you what you want in a weird way that you would never even have expected. So it just that's my perspective on life, man. Yeah, there it is, Fahad. That's it. That's it right there. Every week I go and I put one of those little circles, and looking at that, you could see how we don't really have much time. Like once all those bubbles are filled up, that's the average human lifetime.
Yeah, and knowledge that is applied is what benefits, is what brings profit. A lot of these things we hear and put them in our head, but when we begin to apply them, it becomes part of us. I'm so inspired.
Well said.
Hey,
Sonny, I think there's like, hey, what's up, buddy?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say, I think it's like 4,000 weeks or something like that. It's like 76 years, 4,000 weeks. But yeah, go ahead.
I jumped into the AMA late. Did y'all cover any of the important stuff like staking?
Today's AMA,
reading?
today's AMA was more or less, it was more or less like a personal AMA. We didn't talk much about the project today. Today was more or less kind of like on the personal level, and we'll talk more about all that, when after this whole event stuff is over with. But
Okay.
we spent today mainly just kind of like, doing some personal things and talking from the heart. So you can listen to it on YouTube later if you want, if it interests you. And I think you'll have a nice takeaway from it if you do end up listening to it.
Yeah, most of the time that's what I end up doing is listening on YouTube. I usually can't make it to the AMAs. I'm really surprised that I'm able to listen right now. So um, glad to be here. I'm glad everybody's venting, and hopefully everybody stays positive and has a Merry Christmas, by the way.
Thank you, man. You too, and we will definitely see you in one of the future AMAs. And are you a trucker by any chance? Truck and Drum is your name, so that's what I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah, I'm a trucker. I actually usually am listening to the AMAs in the mornings. So it's like y'all do the AMA on Monday, so Tuesday morning I'm listening on YouTube, and then Friday morning. So
That's cool. That's cool, man. My uncle was a trucker too, and when I was a kid on summer vacation from schools, I would spend my whole summer like going with him across the entire country, and um, yeah, it was fun. It was fun times.
yeah, I'm actually lucky. I'm home right now. The area that I'm in is getting hit with a lot of snow, and I'm really glad not to be out there in this mess. So sitting at
Yeah,
home
man.
and getting warm and listening to Shibadoge, man.
That's right, brother. Thank you, man, and be safe out there when you do decide to go back out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Can you hear me, Leo?
Yeah. Yep. Loud and clear.
I think really thank you for, what your words and, what's being said. One of the things I just like to build on is just remind us wherever we can, don't forget to reach back. Don't forget to help somebody. It doesn't have to always be financially. It can be a word of encouragement, can be a note. And in certain cases, it might be financially because you never know what life you can change. And a lot of times, all of us, sometimes we get so caught up in terms of what we want to achieve or what we want to do or the money we want to make. And then we forgot that sometimes in giving, you do better, right? Because it's
Hmm.
always, there's an old saying, it's always better to give than to receive. I'm not saying be stupid and give money to people that you know or give stuff to people that you know will never pay it forward. But where you can, pay it forward because you never know. You never know where universe is going to help you because most of the help I've gotten are for things that I've done that I never expect that to come back and repay me. So where you can, pay it forward, help where you can. But I say be smart about it. There's scammers out there. There are people out there that just want to take advantage of you. But if you know someone will pay it forward and they just need a helping hand here and there, do the best you can when you can.
Yes, sir. I 100% agree. I'm a strong believer of the saying where it says, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. And I really love that saying, and it's very powerful because yeah, I can sit here and hand people, $100 there and there or whatever, but that's not going to benefit them in the future of their life. But if I could teach them how to make $100 for themselves, you get what I'm saying? Then that really helps. So that not just financially, but in anything, in anything. If you teach, the saying is, if you teach them how to fish, you'll feed them for a lifetime. If you give them a fish, you'll just feed them for that one day. So it's always better to teach people rather than just give it to them, and that's how we'll grow as a society too, man.
Hello, Leo. I want to ask a question. I hope it doesn't take a little bit of your time. What are some of the core values that really sustain you in the times when things were not really working for you the way you expected? Because there are times we make these goals, we don't end up achieving them or attending to them the way we expect. And it looks as if you have to go through it again. That's why I'm asking that question.
So that's a good question, and that's a. Am I going somewhere? It's all about consistency, man. It's not going to be you. It's very rare that if you set your mind to something and set a goal, you're going to achieve it on your first shot or your first attempt. And that's where hardship plays its role. And that's where, my point when I was talking about hardship, where, strong people, strong men, strong women, whatever, they have to go through hardship to be formed into strong individuals. And, the people who attempt to try those goals and quit and don't want to go through the hardship because they don't want to take the hard path, those are the people who won't reach their goals, and they're just afraid of the struggle and the stress that's going to come with the journey. But a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and if you never take that step, you'll never reach the end of your journey. And throughout a journey of 1,000 miles, for example, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're gonna run into tornadoes. You're gonna run into hurricanes. You're gonna run into stormy weather, whatever the case is. But to reach the end, you just got to keep going, and that's the best explanation I can give you on that end. I mean, everyone deals with things in their own ways. Like me personally, the way that I dealt with stress is I kind of never really talked about it, and that's what made it a little bit worse. But I felt like I don't want to make my issues other people's issues, and that kind of maybe amplified it worse for me. But I knew like I was going to make it one day, one way or another. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and I knew I came to a conclusion into my head that it's not going to be easy to get there. And all the bullshit that I was going through at the time, I was like, okay, this is all just a byproduct of the success that I want to reach. So I knew it was just like stress I had to deal with, and that's what helped me. That's what helped me overcome it, is because I knew that this was all part of the process, and I trusted the process. So everything that's out there is something that we can handle. There's nothing that the universe will put out there that you as a man or a woman or whatever, that you won't be able to handle. So you just have to understand that you're stronger than any situation that you're put in front of, and there's always a way out. And you just need to got to learn chess, man. You got to learn chess. For every move you make, there's another opportunity that opens or closes, and you got to know which way to go. So that chess will really change that up for you guys, I guarantee you.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, guys. Hope you guys learned something today, or hope you guys just like listening to me talk. But if nobody has anything else, maybe we could wrap it up here.
Yeah, that was great.
I know Roof probably fell asleep.
Nah, I've been listening. It's very informative. I was enjoying it.
Nah, I'm just messing with you, bro.
I know, man.
All right, guys. All right. Well, I'll get off. I'll go get some food. I'm gonna be back on here on Saturday, by the way, and I hope you guys will hop on too for a little while. I know it's Christmas Eve, and I know you guys probably have plans and whatnot, but we'll be here. We'll be hanging out. We'll be having some fun. So if you're gonna be free, feel free to stop by. We'll be here, and we'll be hosting some events and some giveaways, for the people in chat and stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening in. As always, if you miss Doge, that sucks. If you miss Shiba, that also sucks. If you miss Shibadoge, then you suck. And that's pretty much all I gotta say.
What time is it on Saturday?
Oh.
What time on Saturday? What time? Saturday, what time?
It'll probably be 4:30 p.m. PST, but I'll let you guys know if I change it. I may do it earlier so that more people can join. So it may be like 1 p.m. PST, but I'll have to see what everyone's time zones are, and kind of like I'll make sure to start it in a way where everybody can attend.
Okay, because Here it's midnight. Right now it's almost 2:40 a.m. 2:39 a.m.
Oh,
back
okay.
here.
So 1 p.m. PST would actually be better for you then in that case. But I'll see what the bigger demographic of people are, and you like we have a decent amount of people that join our AMAs at 4:30 PST. So I'm sure if we started like 3 hours earlier than that, then I'm sure people will still be
Yeah.
cool to join. Yeah. Okay.
All
All
right,
right, guys. I'll,
Leo.
I'll put a pin message out on that though. I'll put a pin message out so you guys don't miss the time. But other than that, thank you guys. Love you all. I'm out of here.
Thank
Peace.
you, Leo. Love, peace.